It's gonna be a long year. So everyone was like, oh yeah, no, it's calm. The game will be fine when it actually gets released. Now what? Now what, ladies and gentlemen? Because the game's come out, career mode is still firmly broken, I can't lie to you. So for those that don't know, EA Access obviously dropped, I think it was on the 18th of September. It probably wasn't, that's probably a lie. It was some sort of time around then, maybe the 19th actually, now that I think about it. The date, however, is irrelevant. Career mode was dropped, and after everyone thinking, you know what, this could actually be the game that changes it all for career mode, especially given the amount of changes that were made, implementations that came in, you know, obviously the morale system, dynamic potential, press conferences, and loads of other bugs that were supposedly fixed. When we actually got our hands on it for EA Access, it was a travesty. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna go through all of the issues in this video, but then obviously we were kind of hoping, you know, alright, cool, when the Champions Edition drops on the 24th, you know, people paid to play the game early, you'd like to think EA kind of would have got it sorted out by now, and it still wasn't sorted. I'm recording this before the game has actually come out, but I am completely under the pressure, given the conversations I've had with developers and the fact that it hasn't been fixed for the Champions Edition, that it's not going to be fixed on the actual full release of the game. Everything we kept getting in terms of feedback was, okay, we've actually taken that in, but we can't give you any sort of ETA on when any sort of patch is going to come out. Now, I'm not being funny, that was being said about 2 days before the game actually dropped for everybody, which I think is the 27th or something. I should know my dates better. Like, this is literally my job. I need to actually, like, get a grip on myself. The point I'm trying to say is we were getting this 2 days before the game came out. Obviously, if they don't know an ETA for a patch 2 days before the game comes out, it's not coming out when the game comes out, is it, realistically? And it hasn't, if you're seeing this video. So the actual state this game was in, even on early access, is a shambles. Like, it's actually a disgrace. You know, people are paying extra money to play this game early. People should be paying more to get a working game that is worth the money they are paying. The Champions Edition is up near £80. In fact, I think it is £80. So first of all, obviously, the squads were not updated originally. To be honest with you, I'm expecting those to have been updated when the game comes out. If they're not, then updates are usually like a week late, so I can understand with early access maybe why they wouldn't have that in. But obviously when the game fully comes out, there is no excuse. It's been a month since the transfer window ended. Mauro Icardi should be at PSG. Henrik Mkhitaryan should be at Roma. Alexis Sanchez should be at Inter Milan. So in terms of the issues, I made a video about 4 or 5 days ago talking about something that I think makes the game mode unplayable. Basically, when you play any AI team whatsoever, doesn't matter whether they're big, small, the same rating as you, they're gonna play a horrendous starting 11. So we're gonna see youngsters playing who are like maybe 62 overall in the Premier League, and obviously naturally it makes your game a lot easier. However, it also is actually making like more of an impact on the table as well. You're seeing the likes of Manchester City getting relegated, Tottenham finishing in the second half of the table, same for Arsenal, United, Chelsea, Liverpool. All the top 6 clubs are just playing youngsters. Not just against you, but against everyone. If you want to see that video in more detail and I'll explain it a little bit more, then there is a link in the top right of the screen. Teams are finishing all over the place. Teams that shouldn't be winning the league are winning the league. The likes of Brighton I've seen Norwich win the league. So it's a bit of a sham. I think I know the reason why it's happening. I'm pretty sure clubs are trying to adhere to this whole new morale system and playing the youngsters so that they grow more, but it's so broken and skewed in the wrong direction that they're not actually playing their starting 11 players at all. It also works in the same way when you're trying to sim through a season. I've tried simming multiple seasons with Liverpool, and the likes of Alisson are always really unhappy because he only plays like 5 games a season, even though he's literally the second best goalkeeper on the whole game. And that is causing more issues, not just in terms of the league tables and stuff, but it's also causing issues in terms of people getting sacked. And this is another big one going into this game. Getting fired is way, way too easy and barely ever depends on the results you're actually getting on the pitch. It does to an extent if the team that you're using when you're simming through the calendar is using all its under 16 players instead of its starting 11 players. Maybe you've crafted and built a really good team and spent a while on it. Play through the calendar and none of them are going to play. It's as simple as that. The simming system for this game is completely bund as well. Like, it's just gonna start playing players that you haven't bought, players that are like 65 rated, because it's trying to make them happy. It's trying to keep them at a high morale and grow them, even though you want your starting 11 players to be playing. They're the ones that are going to get you your season objectives. So obviously then, you know, you underperform, you probably get sacked. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I've seen people offering contracts to players, and based on the clauses involved, they're getting fired no matter what they're doing elsewhere. And this is an actual feature, because you get an email that specifically tells you what you've done wrong. So EA have looked at this and thought, you know what? If a manager gives a release clause to a player that's a little bit too low, I'm gonna sack them for it. What? When has that ever happened to anyone in real life? When has a manager been top of the table, but then given a player a slightly, you know, bit of a debatable contract and been sacked for it? On top of that, things that were promised as being fixed just simply aren't. The fixture system is still pretty horrendous, and certainly after Season 1, you're getting the same old stuff with teams playing back-to-back games on 2 different days, maybe even playing 2 games on the same day, which is absolutely ridiculous. Loan deals are far too difficult to do. Players just won't go out on loan. Transfer talks will break down. Also comes with players who aren't very good that you're trying to get out the door, and then for some reason you're getting offers from weird and wacky leagues that they're never going to go to. That's the reason the transfer talks are breaking down. EA don't seem to have realised this, and it's still a thing in FIFA 20. There's quite a few problems with player interaction and press conferences. Firstly, grammatical. I've seen so many instances where there's literal spelling mistakes and grammatical errors in news articles, in the press conferences, in the player conversations. On top of that, there's also instances where a player has come to you and said they want to play despite being slightly injured. You've gone along with it, you've given them game time, and they've complained afterwards that they didn't want to play in the first place, even though you can literally see they asked you to play. It just seems like a whole lot of not really testing this game. And like, if I'm going to give constructive criticism, I've got to say the additions that EA put in for this year, the dynamic potential, the player morale system, the press conferences are really good ideas and really show that they've listened to the community in terms of what we want. We asked for these things for ages and they've implemented them, and that is great. They should be like commended for doing that. But ultimately, whether it's a lack of funding, a lack of ability, or just a lack of care, this game is not getting tested enough before the game comes out. Like, you cannot physically tell me someone actually sat down and played this game mode for longer than 20 minutes. It's impossible, because you would see these issues. You would see that at the end of the season, Manchester City are 14th in the league, and then you'd be like, why has that happened for 3 career mode saves in a row? And you would investigate it. They're waiting for us, game changers, to give them feedback, and even when we did in the beta, none of it's been fixed. This is exactly how the beta was. What's the point in even having one of those so late for a start? I mean, that's part of the problem. I don't know what you can even change in such a short space of time. But what's even the point in having a beta if you're going to collect feedback and then not actually change or do any of it when the game comes out? I seem so annoyed and really frustrated, and it's because I am, because this career mode in this game had potential to be really good. Even the gameplay bangs. Everything was lined up for this to be one of the best career modes in ages. But stuff like this is ridiculous. Like, the whole thing is broken, man. You can get to Season 3 and the European competitions just stop working. I don't even know why that is. I don't even have a reason as to that. Editing players is broken. You can go onto it and players' overalls and attributes start changing for no reason, and their positions as well. If you go onto a right winger, try and edit them, they just convert randomly into a right forward or a striker. I don't know why. I don't know what the reasoning for any of these things are. Half of them weren't even problems in FIFA 19, so I don't know how they've been made to be problems in FIFA 20. The ethnicities of Youth Academy players are still wrong in South America. I think for a whole year, the likes of Sparring DK and Cutsy were on EA's back trying to get that fixed. They said they couldn't do it in FIFA 19. They said they'd do it for FIFA 20. It hasn't been done for FIFA 20. I feel like I am really ripping into developers here, and I don't want to do that. That's not how it is. I'm not saying this is the developers' fault, because from what I can tell, they are massively understaffed. They do not have the resources to be working on a game mode as big as career mode on a game as big as FIFA. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's my review of FIFA 20 career mode. That's not really what it was meant to be. But overall, like, there are so many things that are good. Dynamic player potential might actually be the best career mode addition in, like, the last 10 years. But at the same time, its addition causes certain things to be broken, like the AI playing 4-string teams against everybody. That's because of dynamic potential and trying to grow youngsters who don't even really have a good potential in the first place. Anyway, that's it. I'm just gonna get annoyed if I carry on. So if you enjoyed this video, slap a like on it and subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It's at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it has been a pleasure literally ranting at you guys today. Have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.